Have you guys ever wanted to know? Have you guys ever wanted to know what other video games I play outside my norm? You know, WWE, Dragon Ball Z, Crash Bandicoot, Pokemon. You know, my usual Super Mario. You know, my usual comfort zone. Those are the games I usually play so much in my lifetime that it's kind of basically a part of my life. But today, you guys, I'm going to give you guys something a little different. Today, you guys are going to learn something about my past. You guys are about to find out the games that I used to play as a kid and during my days as a teenager, possibly up to my days as an adult. So I made an entire list of games here that I used to play. I've got it on a notepad, so that way I can remember them all off the top of my head. So anyway, the games I will not be including, so these are the games that I am banning from this list, are Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Crash Bandicoot, the Donkey Kong Country games, Super Mario, WWE, and the Shantae games. Now, why am I not including Shantae? Because, well, you guys know I play them. I stream them. Not much anymore, but, you know, I play them. You guys know I play them. So, that's why I am banning them from this list. Anyway, this is going to be in no particular order. I am going to be talking about all the games that I have previously played. And I will do my best to describe each game. I'm not going to describe every single game I've played because I feel like this video is going to be long enough as it is. So I feel I can dive deep as quickly as possible into most games I've played. Now, as you guys can obviously tell, I am not filming this through my phone. Normally I film through my phone, but I am not doing that. I am not doing that here because I don't think my phone will be able to comprehend how long this video is going to be. So, my voice is going to be a bit more quieter because the recording system I am using is from my laptop. So I'm going to be using my old camera that I used to use on my laptop when I used to do reviews. So if you guys can't hear me, I just recommend chucking on headphones. I was also originally going to play some music as well, but I remembered my voice is quiet through this, and the music would probably be too loud, and you wouldn't be able to hear me. So anyway, I am going to be diving in to all the games I used to play. Now, I don't think every single game I used to play that I got listed on here is on this list. I only remember the select few I remember playing. So if there are any games that I do end up remembering, I may eventually update this later. But these are all the games I remember playing a lot outside of, you know, my usual before I started streaming. Again, this is in no particular order. Okay, so let's begin this list. We are going to be starting things off with Tekken. Yes, I'm pretty sure some people are very well aware of the Tekken games. Now, some of you may be surprised why they're on this list, because I don't play them much anymore. I have played a handful of them. The very first one I ever played was Tekken 3 on the PlayStation 1. I also played Tekken 5, which was on the PS2. I've also played Tekken 6, which was on the PlayStation 3. And I've also got Tekken 7 on the PS4. Another Tekken game I remember playing was Tag Tournament. I can't remember if it's Tag Tournament 1 or Tag Tournament 2. That one was also on the PS3. And the best thing about that Tekken game the Tekken Tag Tournament one, the best thing about the Tekken Tag Tournament one on the PlayStation 3 is that I could literally change the music to anything I want. No joke, that is literally the best thing about that entire game. I'm not saying the game is bad, but that is my literally most favorite thing about that Tekken game. That's my favorite thing about it. That's my favorite thing about it. That I could just literally change it to anything I want. So I could change it to, like, WWE music or Super Mario, for example. It's just so funny. It's just so corny and funny, but I just think it's just really cool that I was able to do that. I wish all Tekken games could have done that. So yeah, I'm not really into the fighting games, but Tekken really got me into it. Tekken was really the only fighting game I really got into. Never really played Street Fighter, but yeah, Tekken was really, I really personally enjoyed all the Tekken games. The campaign modes in Tekken 6 and Tekken 7 really were interesting. Especially Tekken 7, because it was all about the Mishima family, Heihachi and Kazuya. But as for the other Tekken games, there was just more of an arcade mode where you would unlock like a special cutscene. And oh my god, Tekken 5 had Devil Within as like a little extra mini game for you to play. And the one thing I liked about Tekken 5 is that they also let that game also let you play some of the older ones like Tekken 3 and Tekken 2 and even the original Tekken, which I thought Tekken 5 was possibly cool for that particular reason. So anyway, moving on now, I'm going to be talking about the only first-person shooter games I really played, and that was the Call of Duty series. I'm pretty sure people are very well aware of the Call of Duty games, but the only Call of Duty games I ever really played was Black Ops. I played Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and Black Ops 3. I only played one Modern Warfare game, and that was Modern Warfare 3. I only played that one because at that particular time, I was up at the Gold Coast at my auntie's place and my cousin's, and one of my cousins had a PlayStation 3 at the time. And he didn't have any of the Call of Duty games. He only had Modern Warfare 3. So, because that was Call of Duty, I played that one. I personally loved the campaigns in the Call of Duty games, like Call of Duty 1, Black Ops 1, and Black Ops 2. Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 had such great campaigns. I really enjoyed them. I tend to go back and replay. I tend to go back and replay them a lot, because they were super fun and super enjoyable, despite the fact that I suck at them sometimes. And the other things I personally enjoyed about the Black Ops games was the zombie mode. I played the crap out of the zombie modes. I loved the zombies. Especially my favorite map, Kino, the very first one in Black Ops 1. And it makes a comeback in quite a lot of the Call of Duty games, because, it's so iconic. But Call of Duty 3, however, didn't have a campaign mode. Not on the PS3, however. I'm pretty sure it was one available in PS4, I think. I think there was one on the PS4. I can't remember, but yeah, the PS3 version didn't have a campaign mode, which is quite unfortunate. As for Modern Warfare 3, some of you may be wondering, did I enjoy Modern Warfare 3's campaign? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty fun for what it was. Okay, so next games I'm going to be talking about are something that are really out of most people's elements. Now, I'm pretty sure there are some people out there that play the sporting games. For example, FIFA. For those, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people out there that play the FIFA games. And there may be people out there that play the soccer games, the games like that. I did, however, play some of these, and these are ones more for the Australian variety, the AFL and cricket. AFL stands for AFL Football League, for those who are not aware what that meant. And I've played I played a handful of these when I was a lot younger, because at the time I enjoyed playing football, even though I generally sucked horribly at it. There were a few. There are a lot of there were a lot of these things, AFL and cricket. There were a lot of these games. So me and my brother got a handful of them. The AFL games I remember the most was the AFL 2005 game, AFL 2007. And I also remember playing one of the AFL games on PlayStation 3, and I also own the one on PS4, this one right here, called AFL Evolution. I played these quite a fair bit. Because I really enjoyed them, but I don't play them much anymore because, I mean, can you guys really imagine me streaming AFL and cricket? It would be kind of boring if you ask me. But anyway, AFL is now done. Now let's talk about cricket. The cricket games I enjoyed a lot more, but again, I don't play them much anymore. The cricket games I remember playing a lot, off the top of my head from memory, was excuse me, was Cricket Ricky Ponting, Cricket 05, Cricket 07, and also the most modern one. My brother plays them more. My brother still plays the cricket games to this day. He absolutely loves them. I don't play them much anymore because I don't really watch AFL or cricket anymore. I don't really watch them. If I was to recommend cricket to you people, if I was to recommend cricket to you viewers, I would suggest watching the 2020 KFC Big Bashes. Those are really fun and really enjoyable. They're really fun and enjoyable. It's only 20 overs, and the players can have fun and just smack the ball as hard as they can to score a lot of runs. Test games are way longer and boring. You won't be a fan of cricket if you watch those. But yeah, I more recommend watching the ones where most of the players just have a lot of fun with them. So yeah, cricket is basically you have one player has a cricket bat, another player has a ball, there's stumps pitched into the ground, and a bunch of teams surround out in an oval, and then there's a guy behind the batsman that has a piece of gloves, which is a wicket keeper, and also each team has their own captain, and there's a bunch of umpires. Basically, you got to score a lot of runs, and the bowling team have to bowl you out, and basically 10 wickets is the biggest amount. So just to explain some of the rules real quick, so that way people may want to know the rules. You can score runs by hitting singles, twos, hitting the ball all the way out to the boundary, which is 4. Hitting it over the boundary is 6. That's basically the rules. Oh, and you better make sure you wear a helmet and gloves and protection, because I know that. I obviously know that because I've actually played real cricket. I played cricket in real life with my brother in one of my old brother's teams, and trust me, playing cricket for real is way harder than playing it as a video game. So yeah, I'm not going to dwell too much on these, but yeah, I just thought I'd give you guys that bit of history right there. So yeah, those are my history with the sporting games. I don't play them much anymore, but I used to play them a lot. Anyway, let's talk about some of the other games I really enjoyed. Let's talk about Spyro. I'm pretty sure you guys may know I streamed Spyro the Dragon once, and I have no history with Spyro 2 or Spyro 3, but there is one other Spyro game I remember playing that is very infamous to this day as one of the worst Spyro games of all time. I'm not going to dwell too much on Spyro 1, because that's the game I played the most of, but the one Spyro game, there was only one other Spyro game I remember playing, because I never played Spyro 2 or 3 growing up. I've only played them recently on the Reignited trilogy, The other Spyro game I remember playing was the infamous one, Enter the Dragonfly. It's a very infamous one because it's full of glitches and people consider it the worst one in the Spyro's history. And I agree that it's actually very, very glitchy and very hard to play. Personally, I nearly beat the game. Personally, I nearly beat it, but yeah, its performance was really bad. I can't sit here and lie to you that it was actually a pretty crappy game. But I nearly beat it though, despite how chuggy it was. I was very determined to beat it. Next, I want to talk about Madagascar. I'm pretty sure some people may know Madagascar, like the movie Madagascar. You know, I'm pretty sure some people may be aware of the movie Madagascar. You know, the one with Alex the Lion, Marty the Zebra, and all that. Well, I can't remember. Was it DreamWorks? Yeah, I think it was DreamWorks. Yeah, it was DreamWorks. But for those who are not aware, it's about a group of animals. It's about a group of animals who get lost into the wild. There's like three of these damn movies. The original Madagascar, Madagascar Escape to Africa, and Madagascar Escape to Europe. There's like 3 of these damn things. Madagascar was very popular, but overall, the Madagascar game, there was actually 2 Madagascar games I remember playing. There was one on the Game Boy I remember playing, and I don't have a lot of memory with that one. But I do remember owning a Game Boy one. However, the one I reckon that I remember the most is the one on the PlayStation 2. It was quite fun. Sorry, I don't mean to pick my nose, but it was quite fun. It was quite a fun game, and despite me enjoying the movie, I actually don't hate the game. I actually didn't mind the game. I thought it was actually quite fun. So yeah. That's very interesting for those who know Madagascar. But yeah, I played one of the games. Played one of the games. Next games I'm going to be going on about are the Disney movies. My God, I played a lot of these things, and yes, I played an awful lot of Disney movie tie-in games. I'm pretty sure people are aware of Disney and how there are a lot of, and how popular they are. So I played a handful of the Disney games. As I said, I'm not going to go into full details on all of them. One of them, there are a lot of them I remember playing. Tarzan, some people may know Tarzan. Monsters Inc. Scare Island. I remember it was Emperor's New Groove. That one I never beat. I got so close to beating it though, but there's actually a little story about that. You see, the game was so old that by the time I got to the final few levels, the game literally stopped loading. And I couldn't load the game no matter what. And I tried cleaning the disc as much as I could, but just no matter what, it would just never load the final few levels, and I could never beat the game. And that's so unfortunate. I was so close to beating the game. Tarzan, I've obviously beaten. Emperor's New Groove, and Monsters Inc. I've obviously beat. Emperor's New Groove, I never did. Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, I remember beating that. That's another Disney game I remember playing. Tigger's Honey Pot Hunt. My God, I remember playing this game. Some people may know Winnie the Pooh. But yeah, that's what Tigger is. That's where Tigger's from. He's from the Winnie the Pooh show. And the final Disney game I remember playing was Atlantis. Some people may know Atlantis, some people may not. But I do remember the film. But the game itself is not very good. I never beat it. I could never beat it. One other game I played a lot on the Super Nintendo, which it's the only one I can talk about, because all the other Super Nintendo games are basically, games on the list that I can't allow to bring up. Like Mario and all that. Like Mario. So, the only other SNES game on the Super Nintendo I played that was not Super Mario or Donkey Kong was Bubsy the Bobcat. Now, Bubsy is very infamous of being one of the worst characters of all time. And he only had about a total of 3 games? And I'm super glad. Because I'm actually super glad about that. Because the one that I played on the Super Nintendo, I could never beat. And I've heard stories about the other Bubsy the Bobcat games, and they're not very good from what other people have told me. So I'm actually very glad I only got to play one of them. Next is the Harry Potter games. I only played 2 of them. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and The Prisoner of Azkaban. They were the only 2 I ever played. And I only beat one of them, and that was Prisoner of Azkaban. I got close to beating the Philosopher's Stone one, but I think I got stuck on the chess level, and it was very, very hard. Anyway, who's ready to listen to me ramble on for a couple of minutes? The next games I'm going to be talking about is a franchise I really did enjoy, but my god, it was frustrating. The Driver games. Now, some of you may not know the Driver games, but these were the only driving games I was really into. Most driving games nowadays are very familiar, like the F1 games, like something my brother would play, the F1 games and all that. And most racing games people remember these days are Mario. So these games were very, very different. You're playing as an underground cop by the name of John Tanner. Driver 1, I'm gonna straight up tell you, I never beat the tutorial of this game. No kidding. When you start the campaign has you go through a tutorial where it gives you a bunch of checklists. It gives you a checklist of things to do in your car, where you got to perform certain moves in your car and I could never beat it for the life of me. It was so frustrating. I could never beat it. So Driver 1 was just something the campaign I could just never play, because I could just never beat the goddamn campaign. Me and my brother just eventually gave up. Yeah, these games my brother played. Me and my brother just eventually gave up on it, and we just played the single player mode. And we just drove around Miami and San Francisco just to, have fun. Those were the 2 maps on that game. And there was 2 other maps. I think the other 2 maps were Los Angeles and New York, but you had to unlock them through the campaign. Now let's talk about Driver 2, because Driver 2, oh my god, I have more memories with this game than Driver 1. Driver 2, my god, was an experience. This game was downright the most hardest game I have ever played. It was the hardest game I ever had to finish. The campaign is freaking hard. And this game had 2 discs. No kidding, this game had 2 discs. Some of you may be wondering, well, what were those 2 discs for? Well, disc 1 has part 1 of the campaign, and disc 2 had the second part of the campaign. So you could not play disc 2 until you played the campaign and finished through part 1 of the campaign. No joke, you really couldn't. And the only way to play the other 2 maps was basically load up your save file from part 2 and then put the part 2 disc in. That was the only way that you could play Las Vegas and Rio. That was the only way you could play them. You had to get up to the campaign. You had to get up to those levels in the campaign. And my god, were these missions so freaking hard. Some of them were fun, some of them were easy. Some of them were easy, some of them were hard. Some of them had fun challenges that I actually really enjoyed. But oh my god, there were so many hard ones. The ones that I hated the most were the ramming levels, where you had to get your car and you had to ram into somebody else. One of them that comes to mind is Hijack the Truck. Where you gotta stop a truck. Sounds easy, right? Sounds easy, doesn't it? Well, you got a frickin' car behind you. You got a frickin' enemy car behind you, stopping you in every sense of the way. That was the very first mission I legitimately was having issues with. And then after that mission is Stop the Truck, where basically the truck that you're trying to stop is bombing you from behind with bombs. One of the others is Find the Keys, where you gotta drive around, find enemy cars, and ram into them to find the missing keys to something I can't remember. But yeah, oh my god, so many missions were hard. None is more infamous to me than Stakeout in Part 2 of Las Vegas. Oh my god. And there are so many stressful missions as well, where there's one level in Las Vegas where you're driving a car that literally has a bomb inside of it, and if you don't get it to its destination in time, you will just blow up in the car. You will die inside the car. And one of the best things about Driver 2 is that you can exit out of your car at any time and then get into another car. Driver 1, you could not do that. You were stuck in one particular car. In Driver 2, you can get out of your current car and go into another car. But the problem is, some missions in the campaign do not let you get out of your car. Some of the missions I just talked about. Well, obviously you got to get out of the car and hijack the truck and all those other ones. But some of the ones, like, Stakeout, like the one where you're bombing a car. When you got a bomb in your car, you can't get out of that car. So there were a few missions where you couldn't leave the car with somebody inside it or something inside it that was preventing you from leaving it. And, oh man, I don't want to go on too much of a tirade about this, but man, there were so many missions that I personally hated. Like, Stakeout is the worst one. Stakeout was one of the worst ones. Stakeout, I'll give you guys details of what this one's about. Stakeout is where you have to drive your friend Jones. Sorry, you're playing as an underground cop named John Tanner. You have to drive your friend Jones to the airport, and you are staked out by cop cars, and you gotta escape the cop cars. Now, that may sound easy on paper. Now, remember what I just told you. Driver 2 lets you leave cars and exit out of the cars and get into another car at any time. This mission would not let you leave your car. You have to stay in that car until the end of the mission, because you got your friend Jones in there. If you try to leave the car, the game will tell you you can't leave Jones behind. Seriously? Are you trying to tell me that he can't come out of the car with me? Is that what you're telling me? You're telling me that he can't get out of the freaking car with me, and we can run to another car to avoid the cops? I know that's the reason why they took that out, to make it more difficult, but oh my god, that is just so silly. You mean to tell me you can't get your friend out of your car and then go to another car together and then get in the next car? It just sounds so ridiculous if you think about it. But I understood why they did that, so that way it would be much harder. But oh my god, the mission was so hard. But no missions were harder than Chase the Gunman and Lenny Escapes. Rio had several tough missions. but none were harder than these two. Oh, who's Lenny? Some of you may be wondering. Well, throughout the campaign, you're chasing down a guy named Lenny, who I think you're either, if my memory serves me correctly, I think you're trying to take him in, or arrest him, or something like that. I can't really remember off the top of my head. You're a part of it. You end up running into gangs like Solomon Kane and Velasquez and Charles Jericho. You run into a bunch of other goons who are looking for Lenny as well. So Chase the Gunman is, as what you would expect, my favorite levels, car chasing levels, where you got to chase him down the street and also, deplete his health bar. But it's so difficult. It's so hard and so difficult. The only way I ended up beating this mission was ending up ramming him so hard that there's a point in the chase where you're on this highway and there's just a big massive gap. There's just a big massive gap that you can fall down in and die. So basically, I ended up beating the map by hitting the enemy car that I was chasing so hard, he flung off and fell into that giant, and fell into that little hole, fell down in that big giant hole. No joke, that is how I ended up beating the level. The game credited it as a win for me. So, honestly, I'll take it. But Lenny Escapes is the hardest level. It's one of the most tricky levels in the entire game. You're basically chasing after his helicopter that got shot down. That sounds easy, wouldn't it? That doesn't sound so bad, doesn't it? Well, problem is you are being attacked by enemy cars, and you can't lose the helicopter either. You have to keep an eye on the helicopter, not lose it, and also deal with the frickin' annoying enemies that are chasing you. And more importantly, the most egregious and most terrible thing is that when you get to the final corner, when you get to the final part of the level where you're about to finish the goddamn level, there is a point where the game can still consider you losing the mission when you're so close to the end of the level. Trust me, that happened to me several times, and I wanted to pull my hair out. It was so agonizingly bad. I hated it so much. I hated it. But yes, that is Driver 2. It's fun when you're playing Take a Ride. When you're playing single player and you're just messing around. But when you're playing campaign, it is a freaking nightmare. So let's talk about the other driver game I played, called Driver San Francisco. Now, is this one hard? Was this one hard? Did this one make me scream like a 2-year-old and make me rage quit? No, actually. It was actually a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed the campaign. I actually enjoyed the campaign. There were a few hard levels, like maybe the last few couple of chapters, but other than that, I personally enjoyed it. There were these missions that you had to complete to unlock the story mission. But to give you guys a quick summary on what the campaign was in this game, your main character, John Tanner, ends up having a coma. He ends up having a coma and he's in hospital. So, basically the whole gimmick is that he's dreaming. He's having like this dream in his head that he's solving what's going on because Charles Jericho got out of prison, and Charles Jericho was the one that gave him a coma. He was the one that gave him a coma, trying to kill him and all that stuff. And basically, he's dreaming about solving the mystery of what's going on with Charles Jericho and what he's trying to plot and plan and all that. So basically, when he eventually wakes up from his coma, he realizes that he didn't solve any of these on his own. He was just it was basically all on the news. It's a very interesting concept, and you can basically teleport in and out of different cars at any point. which honestly I enjoyed a lot. And there's also a massive campaign where you are just playing as regular John Tanner, and he's got his buddy Jones with him as well. Personally, I enjoyed Driver San Francisco. The campaign wasn't too hard. There were a few challenging missions, but the missions didn't make me scream and pull my lungs out, pull my hair out, where I wanted to rage quit. They actually really wanted me to actively get better, and I personally felt I was getting better throughout that game, and I definitely enjoyed it more. I definitely enjoyed it, despite Driver 2 being incredibly hard. But to me, to this very day, no other game has been more difficult than Driver 2, in my opinion anyway. Anyway, let's talk about some other games. Now, I'm only including this one because this is not WWE. Did you guys know I only played one non-WWE game? Yeah, I only played one non-WWE game, and that was called WCW Nitro on the PS1. That game was more for my brother than me, but I did play it sometimes, and honestly, I really didn't like it. Not because it was WCW and not WWE. Its gameplay just didn't really connect with me, and I think me and my brother both realized that the WWE games were way better. But it was okay. It was okay for what it was. It's harmless enough. Oh, there's this another game I played. It was called Pop and Pop. Now, I know some of you may be wondering, what the hell is Pop and Pop? I've never heard of that game in my life. Well, Pop and Pop is a very interesting game. Me, my brother, and my dad, we really liked playing this game. It was really fun. It's basically you are it's basically you popping a bunch of balloons. You pick a character and you're popping a bunch of balloons to score a lot of points. If you guys really want to know what the game is about, I recommend just Googling it or just YouTubing it. I can't really explain it much, but if you really want to know more about it, just give it a good old type on Google or YouTube and look up some gameplay. That's really all I can really tell you. Do you guys want to know what was the very first game I ever played on the PlayStation 1? My very first console was a Super Nintendo, but do you guys want to know what was the very first game I ever played on the PlayStation 1? I really hope no one laughs at me, but the very first game I ever played on the PS1 was Rugrats. Rugrats Search for Raptor. Now, I know some people may know Rugrats. It was on Nickelodeon. It was a kid's show on Nickelodeon, and I loved that show as a kid. And that was the very first game I ever played as a kid on the PlayStation 1. Funny enough, as a grown adult, you can beat it in a couple of minutes, honestly. It's not that hard of a game. It's not. It's a freaking baby game. It's a game made for toddlers. It's a game made for toddlers who are very, very young. And honestly, it's actually quite fun. It was a fun little game. I personally enjoyed it. It's just a bunch of mini games, and you're going through levels from the episodes from the actual show. I didn't mind it. It was really fun, and I wish I could still play it to this day, but I don't have a PlayStation 1 anymore. But either way, but yeah, it's just a little game, not difficult at all. I personally enjoyed it. RC Revenge was another game I remember playing. Now, some of you may be wondering, what the hell is RC Revenge? I've never heard of that game either. Well, RC Revenge is basically a game where you're basically driving around. It's just another car racing game. It's another car racing game, just not like Driver or Super Mario Kart. It's kind of like Super Mario Kart, but it feels more like toy cars. It feels like they're cars that you would buy in a kid's store for your little kids, and then you can just ram them across. That's kind of what they feel like. They feel like little tiny kid toys for your little kids. I personally enjoyed it. I really liked it. It was challenging. It was difficult, but I really liked it as a kid. I really liked it as a kid, and I made it my mission to unlock every single character. But unfortunately, I never did. I never did unlock all the characters, because the last two characters I needed to beat the time trials, and I was not doing that. Oh man, I'm sorry, my nose is itchy. And the other game I remember playing on the PS1 was Stuart Little 2. Yes. Are people aware of Stuart Little? Do people know Stuart Little, the movie? And Stuart Little 2, the movie? If you guys have never heard of the Stuart Little movies, then this game is completely out of the blocks to you. But yes, Stuart Little 2. I remember playing that. I'm not going to go too much detail into it, but yeah, that was another game I remember playing. And finally, the other game I want to talk about real quick before I move on to basically a sin that I want to talk about from my childhood, because these games are also listed on here. But there's one more game I will quickly go over before I move on. One of the other games I remember playing on the PS3 was Resident Evil 5. Yes, Resident Evil 5 is the only Resident Evil game I have ever played. I have never played any other Resident Evil games in my life. I have watched YouTubers play the other Resident Evil games, but I've never played them. My God, Resident Evil 5 was an experience. It was an experience. It was very, very hard, because I've never played Resident Evil. It was such a horrible experience, but very fun. It was very fun, very hard, but at the same time, I kind of felt like it was a horrible experience, because I was just really bad at Resident Evil, because I never freaking played them. So yeah, Resident Evil 5 was really the only one I ever played. Okay, guys, are you guys ready? Oh boy, are you guys ready to see me talk about the final two games on this list? Are you guys ready for that? I hope you guys are, because these next two games, three technically, are games I never owned. Well, they're not mine. They are in my possession. They are in this thing here. This thing here is where I hold all my PS1 games. It's in this thing. They are in this thing here. So, they were not for me. I'm just going to straight up say, these next three games were not for me. So why did you include them on this list, Patrick? Because unfortunately, I had the unfortunate to play them at one point. Now some of you may be wondering, what am I going on about? Well, these next three games were not for me, and they were not for my brother. These next three games I'm going to be talking about were bought for my sister. My sister has never in her life been a gamer. She has played some games before, but she's not super into it. She's not like me. She's not like me, who's freaking crazy over games and plays them a lot. She's just not that kind. And these three games were bought for her because she was a lot younger. And my God, the experience, the nightmare horror that I experienced with these games, because my sister at one point was so bad at these games, she wanted my help. And that is why they are on this list. because I had the unfortunate to grab the controller and play these for myself to help my precious sister in her little games. What were they called? Are you guys familiar with the Powerpuff Girls? Are you guys familiar with the Powerpuff Girls? Do you guys know the Powerpuff Girls? Well, that was one of the games I had to play. The Powerpuff Girls. Yes, my parents bought my sister a Powerpuff Girls game because, well, we used to watch the cartoon. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against the cartoon. I did watch the cartoon of Powerpuff Girls. I've got no issue with the TV show. Nothing issue with it at all. I didn't mind the cartoon. I didn't mind the cartoon. But I don't know, I just think playing the game just made it a bit more weirder. But yeah, it was more for my sister than me, so that's kind of why I'm saying it's kind of a weird experience, because it's not really my game, it's my sister's. But yeah, she was so bad at it, she wanted my help, and I had to play it. It was really bad. It was just an awful game. I can't really say much positive about it. It just wasn't a real fun game. But what was it about, Patrick? You needed to give us some details. Like, what was the game about? It felt like just a beat 'em up. It was more like a beat 'em up where you had to run to town and battle a certain boss from the cartoon, and you gotta I think you gotta go a couple of rounds with them, and you gotta beat 'em up and beat them, and a couple of rounds to save the certain town that you're going to. That's more what the game was about, and it was just super hard and super annoying. It was super hard, super annoying, and very unenjoyable to say the least. So that was Powerpuff Girls. Are you guys ready? Because this is the final games I'm going to be talking about in this video. There are 2 more games that my sister played as a kid. Well, not as a kid, because I was kind of a kid. She was more of a teenager. I can't believe I'm talking about these. Can I end the video? I really do not want to talk about these games. Okay, I will talk about them. I'll talk about these games. This is gonna be so embarrassing. Oh, here we go. These next 2 games were, again, bought for my sister. These games were called Mary-Kate and Ashley. Do anybody know them? Have you guys ever heard of Mary-Kate and Ashley? I know who they are. They are celebrities. I remember watching one of their movies. No joke. The literal memory of these 2 girls I remember was watching a movie about them. I believe they went to Paris. I can't remember. That it was so long ago. How do I know this? Some of you may be wondering. I don't know. My brain, I've got a good, massive memory for some reason. But yes, there were games based on these girls. And before some people say that it's weird for me to talk about games, weird for me to talk about a game where I'm playing as female characters when I play Shantae, mind you, Shantae is different because Shantae is a fictional character. She's not a real character. She's fictional. She's not real. Mary-Kate and Ashley are real people. They are real people based off of two girls. Real life people. Google them. Go look them up. Go Google them up. They are real people. They made video games off of real people. Two teenage girls. They were teenagers at the time. So unfortunately, I had to play these games for myself and experience them. How did I experience them? Well, I'll tell you what they were called. One of them I played was called Mary-Kate and Ashley Magical Mystery Mall. My sister obviously played this, not me, but she wanted my help. So I unfortunately had to play this game. What was this Mystery Mall game about, Patrick? Well, it's about Mary-Kate and Ashley going to a magical, mysterious mall, and apparently, if you beat a minigame, they get a special jewelry. Because girls sure love jewelry, don't they? Girls love their jewelry, don't they? So, yeah, you had to go around to all different kinds of minigames and getting jewelry. My sister, as I've said, is a very bad video gamer, and she couldn't beat any of the levels. There was this one level that I remember very fondly, and I obviously remember because I have to talk about it in this video, unfortunately. It was a mission where you're basically making food. You're basically a chef, and you got to give customers food, exact food they ask for. And I actually ended up beating this level. Not in my first try. I'm not trying to brag. I didn't do this in my first try. It was absolutely nightmarish and hard. But I did manage to beat it, and I was able to get my sister one of the first jewelries in that whole game. The first and only jewelry we ever got in that game. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. I'm frickin' playing a video game about teenage girls, and I'm bloody owning it. I'm bloody owning it about a game with teenage girls. It is absolutely preposterous. And the other game that Mary-Kate and Ashley starred in was a game that I still actually hold onto, that is in my little collection to this very day. Mary-Kate and Ashley Crush Course. What was this game about, you will possibly be asking me? Well, Crush Course is about, well, Mary-Kate and Ashley are teenage girls, right? The game is called Crush Course. What do you think the game's about? Mary-Kate's in love. Some mysterious male person sent her a letter. Mary-Kate sent her a letter, and it was supposed to be some kind of love letter, but because it's a video game, the letter that she got was scribbled. It was like the pieces were missing. There were pieces missing from the letter, and you had to go around beating mini games to find the extra pieces to the letter, so that way you would know what the person writ to Mary-Kate. I can't believe I'm saying this. There was only one good thing I actually enjoyed about this game. It was the mini-golf. The mini-golf mini-game, the little mini-golf mini-game that you play as Mary-Kate and Ashley. The only fun thing about that game. I personally liked the mini-golf mission. I personally liked the mini-golf. Because honestly, mini-golf's not that hard of a game to play. But at the end, but in the reality is, it wasn't that difficult. But yeah, but I also liked some of the areas that you travel to in the minigame, in the golf minigame. was honestly quite fun. I didn't mind it, honestly. And now I'm about to vomit because I'm freaking... and now I'm about to vomit because I am praising a game that is supposed to be intensely awful. But yeah, that was really the only thing I enjoyed about it. One of the things that I really hated so much was the Simon Says minigame. And as I said before, because my sister was so bad at these minigames, she asked me to help her out. Of course, so I gotta play these. I helped her play, me and her traded turns at playing the mini golf. And she struggled with the Simon Says. She asked me for help. Yes, the next mission we're going to be talking about is Simon Says, because that is the most infamous level of the entire game, where basically one of the school bullies has one of the pieces to Mary Kate's little letter, and you gotta beat the bully in a game of Simon Says. Basically, the school teacher does a pose, and you have to copy that said pose. It's like one of those little rhythm games. Have you guys ever played those rhythm games where you press a button? You have to press a button at a certain time. You gotta press a button at a certain time. Yeah, that's kind of what the Simon Says minigame is. It's kind of like you gotta press a button at a certain time to perform the move, and it's so inconsistent. It was so inconsistent. It was like, even if you pressed it right on the money, you just miss it by a couple of seconds and you fail. So, and you have to basically go through a couple of rounds, and you got to keep your star meter up to a good level, so then that way you can end up winning and end up winning the extra piece of the letter. This level was just so straight up impossible for me and my sister. We could never beat it. It's just one of those games, man. Oh god, it's just one of those games. Awful experience. It was an awful experience for me to play these horrendous games. I really hope nobody laughs at me for playing a game about two teenage girls. Anyway, that is the end of this very, very, very long video. Yeah, so those are all the games that I have played, not excluding the obvious games I play, like Pokemon, Dragon Ball, Mario, and Crash, and Shantae, and Donkey Kong. I'm sorry for this video being incredibly long. I fully expected this to be incredibly long, and good luck to you guys if you want to sit through this whole thing. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that thumbs up, give me your thoughts down below, and I will see you all next time.